Hey guys, welcome back to the Rockford Ordinance. And today is March 20th, and this is Koffee and Kalashnikovs. We are going to give a few people some time to jump in. Doesn't seem like there's that many people in here right at the moment. Give me 1 sec here. I don't want you guys to have background noise here. There we go. We're going to shut that off real quick. Anyhow, we got a lot of good stuff tonight. A lot going on. 2A world. A lot going on, actually. And at the forefront, I guess you would say, is once again, yep, you got it, the wonderful town of Chicago. And, well, not just Chicago, state of Illinois, I guess. But, yeah, along with their good friends, Everytown for Gun Safety, they filed a lawsuit against Glock, of all people. Yep, they're going after Glock. They want all pistol sales by Glock shut down in the state of Illinois. How about that one? Wow. It reminds me of, I don't know how long ago it was. Well, 90s, I guess, is when it started. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll let some people jump in here. And we'll tell you kind of the history of lawsuits against the gun industry. And then we'll come back in and see how just familiar this one is, if it looks anything like the old ones did. There's definitely a reason behind it, and I feel if there's one lawsuit like this, there's probably going to be a lot more to follow real quick. So that should be interesting, but we'll get into that in a little bit. What else is going on? I want to talk about availability, what I saw this week. In the ammo department, reloading department, firearms in general, what's out there, what kind of pricing and sales, and saw some interesting stuff, and maybe sort of a disturbing trend. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, that's what we've seen so far, but we'll go through it all. I'm just waiting for some people to jump in here because we just started. I see Ross is in here, and he says, I predicted years ago they were going to go after semi-auto firearms by trying to say they were readily convertible machine guns. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Readily convertible by who? Well, I guess anyone, but, in order to do that, you still need some parts. And where do those parts come from, and who allowed them to get in? I don't know. That's a good question, isn't it? So I thought they were going door to door and confiscating all these terrible things that, after all, our lovely government allowed to come into the country, right? Just like they did with solvent traps, magic buttons for said Glocks, all kinds of interesting and fun things, caps for mag lights and all kinds of stuff. And they just allow it to flow in, but then they want to say it's readily convertible. Well, I know a piece of pipe and a hammer, a couple primers is readily convertible too, but it goes back to the old story. It's all the same. It's great when people break 15 laws to make a gun illegal, and then they want to go after the gun manufacturers. Yeah. First of all, the ones using it in crimes, let's think about this. They used it in a crime. Most likely they've committed, like Ross says, I don't know, at least 3 crimes probably to get there, right? How'd they get the gun in the first place? Most likely they're a prohibited person. Secondly, where did the gun come from? Maybe it was legit, but maybe, just maybe, it was stolen. So you've got another crime there. They're prohibited, so they can't get that gun. Then they purchase the switch or whatever. That's a crime in itself. And then they convert it. There's another crime. And then they use it and get caught with it. So maybe they're a felon, right? If they're a prohibited person. So now you're committing a felony by a previous felon with a firearm that he converted and bought parts for. How many felonies do we have? They stack up quicker than you can add them up. But yeah, it's the gun manufacturer's fault. Not the company doing internet business in the U.S. from, well, we all know what countries, right? Not them. It's not their problem. It's not the postal service or whoever that delivered it. Not the person that bought it. But it's the firearm manufacturer's fault. Yep, that's it. Not to mention, they should probably go after the guys making the 32-round clipazines too, or the 100-round drums, or whatever said upstanding citizen used to violate the rest of these laws. Why not go after them? But it brings me to another subject. So basically, and this goes, I'm pulling a lot of this information from a guy by the name of Tom, it's Griotte. He's an ex-Wisconsin prosecutor. Great channel, great 2A channel. And his whole channel looks at it from the legal end of things. He's a ex-prosecutor, state of Wisconsin, attorney, obviously. So, when he's talking, he's got tons of expertise on the subjects he's talking about. It's not secondhand or third-hand news. He's talking from the standpoint of he's probably prosecuted someone in the past and knows the ins and outs and what real world is, so to speak. Anyhow, you guys have heard plenty of folks talk about that a lot of the gun laws that came into being in the 90s, 2000s, and certainly well before that, Jim Crow laws and whatnot, they were all meant to keep certain classes or races of people from obtaining firearms. And it's a type of discrimination, really. And basically, you're seeing it all over again. As he said, it's almost copy and paste stuff. They're just going after different classes of people. And how so? Well, they make laws that they even tried to keep firearms out of the hands of Catholics back in the day. Because you had to be a good Protestant to own a firearm, right? And they're basically doing it again. It's copy and paste type of stuff. They're just going after different groups of people. And quite frankly, it's scary. And I've listened to a lot of 2A news and events and news about lawsuits and on, but I never heard this specific part. Back in the day, and it's funny, even though it's back in the day, you still hear the same names and groups come up, the same prosecutors' names. Now maybe they're a little higher up the ranking in political status, right, in the offices they hold. But it's the same people over and over. And basically they came out and said that, hey, if we can't stop the sale of firearms due to the Second Amendment, we'll stop it by getting rid of the gun manufacturers. So they filed suit against a ton of different manufacturers, some of which ended up going out of business because of it. Some hung around because of deals they made. And that's the interesting part, some of the deals they made. One of which, and is no small player, Smith & Wesson. And I thought I had heard it all, but I never really heard the intricacies of it. And he just came out with this story, this Tom Griotte. And I thought, that's interesting, but why? Well, then I heard about the Glock suit, and of course he's kind of foretelling that he thinks we're going to see a ton more suits, because back then they were suing from different municipalities, counties, states, villages, you name it. And it was this smattering of suits. The previous governor of New York came out at that time and said death by 1,000 cuts. And we've all heard that phrase used, but he actually said it, or I won't say coined it, but sort of coined it in how it affects your ability to own a firearm. And they sued and sued and sued, and there were a bunch of companies that right off the bat folded their hand and claimed bankruptcy because they simply couldn't afford to fight these lawsuits. You got to remember, these lawsuits are filed by cities, towns, etc., using your tax dollars. The attorneys are paid for with tax dollars, the research, the expert witnesses, and on and on and on. It's an unfair fight. They have much deeper pockets than a company that has to answer to shareholders and frankly, stay in business. When you maybe rely on a loan from a bank you've been doing business for or with for years and years to get money to do a large batch of manufacturing. Let's say you get a government contract or something, and you need $15 million to buy raw materials, etc., to fulfill that contract. Well, what bank's going to lend you money when you may have a tens or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of lawsuits hanging over your head? Sure, they may be you may be acquitted or the charges thrown out, but what if it goes the other way? They're going to lose their money, so they don't want to lend money, and at minimum, it's going to deplete the reserves of that company and certainly affect their profitability and bottom line. But one of those companies, and you saw tons of them fold. There was somebody back then that did a study on it, and they said it could cost some of these companies as much as $1 million per day in legal fees associated with the cases that were against them. And when this was all, well, we'll get to that. Anyhow, Smith & Wesson wasn't even, I don't think they'd been sued at the time, but they figured they were about to be. So they started talking and they cut a deal. And what that deal was is they wouldn't file the lawsuit, which they obviously thought they might lose. And keep in mind, these lawsuits were, they'd sue them because a citizen was killed by someone using a firearm from this particular company or whatever. Or a gun group got behind some family that lost a family member and said, come on, you got to sue, and they'd bring cases. And Smith & Wesson sort of got ahead of it and said, well, let's negotiate. And the negotiation ended up being that they would allow the courts and the political figures of that state to appoint members of an advisory board. And keep in mind, this wasn't like you have a corporate board and they're recommending we go in and do this project or this R&D or what have you. This was a board that oversaw everything the company did. They controlled the purse strings, and the deal they cut was that it was a 5-member board, and 3 of the members would have to be appointed by the state, essentially. And then 1 would be appointed by the ATF. So that left 1 member of that board that was a company person. So imagine trying to run a company when that's going on. And Smith & Wesson agreed to it. agreed to it. And just like he said, got nothing against Smith and Wesson, but you got to think from their position. You know, if you've got this coming down and you lose, well, you could lose everything. So maybe cutting this deal is beneficial. Well, once there's blood in the water like that, the sharks start circling, right? And they actually went to other companies and said, these smaller companies, and said, well, since the big one's doing it, now you little guys got to fall in line. Imagine not being part of a suit, nothing, but you're being told that, hey, you need to jump on board here. We're going to come after you. Luckily enough, there was a decision that came down, and it was the Firearm Producers Protection Act that kept them from being sued in cases like this, which they've had several losses over the last few years and whatnot. But at a state level or local level, Supreme Court decided not to hear one big case on it. But man, oh man, his point was, and I feel it, that maybe you're about ready to see another round of these. And you say, well, how can they do that when, you know, there's this legal law in place that keeps them from being sued? Well, since when do they care about things being constitutional or anything, right? Why not bring the case? And it's not even about whether they'll win or not. It's about what it's going to cost these companies. And they don't go after the small, maybe SOT or something like that, but they go after some pretty heavy duty people. I mean, look at Remington. Look what happened to them. That was all due to a firearm being used in a shooting that one of their weapons was involved in. So you wonder, what's the difference if your rights get taken away because you, it's found that you're not allowed to own them by a court, or if you just can't buy one because they're not made? Something to think about. And frankly, a bit scary. So, yeah, you got our illustrious mayor down south there who's, grandstanding over this case and everything, and saying how wonderful it is and that too many crimes are happening with these Glocks. And since they produce a gun that's so readily convertible, that they shouldn't be able to sell them in our state. But yet your police officers can carry them. Yeah, I don't know. It's always they can have, but we can't. I don't know. And, think about Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson made mostly revolvers at that time, right? Yeah, sure, there was some other stuff, but, I mean, they don't care. Again, we say, God, how could they? Why do they? How come they're this? They're so stupid. Don't they understand? No, they understand perfectly. And they will never be happy until it's all gone. Every bit of it gone. So keep that in mind, guys, and know that that's the ultimate end game, so to speak. Let's see what Ross has to say, since he's the only commenter here. Holy cow, slow night tonight. Last Wednesday was good. Let's see. I think that Smith & Wesson lawsuit with Gary, Indiana is still going on to this day. Not sure. Might be. I just know that whole board deal, they didn't have to go ahead and do that. So that was a good thing. Could you imagine trying to do business? Well, that's the point. They wouldn't have done business, right? They would have ended up making toasters or something at best. Pretty scary. They're always coming up with new ways and new angles on things, and double reverses and end runs, and you never know what they're going to come up with next. Sometimes I think we give them ideas, right? Where's everything sit these days with 3D printing and um, you know, some of these tabletop, not even 3D printers. I mean, they're basically CNC machines. Yeah, you can say, well, it's a program. How do you regulate that? Well, you could say, well, you can't be caught in possession of the program, right? Whatever. But I don't know. You haven't heard much on that end of things lately, but it'll come back around. It all comes back around again. It's just whatever the hot topic of the day is. Anywho, got out a little bit to my local fleet farm, and it's a good place to base your kind of the pulse of what's going on in the firearm industry, or at least locally, right? What's available, and all I can speak of is what's local to me, and talk about what ammo I saw and what guns and all that. So, as far as ammo goes, there's everything. There's shotgun ammo, rifle ammo, rimfire, pistol, anything you want. I have noticed the price of 9 dropping and dropping and dropping. I saw, what was it, Federal, I think? I saw Federal for $13.50 a box, 9mm, and giving you an instant dollar rebate. So $12.50 a box for 50 rounds. Just round nose, full metal jacket, but decent practice ammo, $12.50 a box. That's pretty cheap at a retail level. 5.56, thankfully, there seems to be plenty all around. What I am not seeing is 7.62 by 39. Seems to be that most of the Russian steel case is pretty much gone. I thought it would hold out a while longer, but it seems that a lot of the retail establishments are not getting it, or it's gone, or what have you. I'm sure some of the online sources still have some. Maybe not. I haven't checked them in a long time. Anyhow, at Fleet Farm, all I saw was some soft tip hunting ammo that was very, very expensive. And then I was at another farm type store, and they had some Winchester, what they call their target practice ammo. So just full metal jacket, brass cased, 20 rounds, $12. Is that cheap? Well, not compared to what we're used to, I guess, but it's about the cheapest I've seen at a retail place in quite a while. So, yeah, there's that. But everything else doesn't seem to be a problem at all. And maybe it's just the time I'm in there or whatever. Haven't been there on a Saturday or Sunday, but doesn't seem like those aisles are filled with people like they had been for so long. When it comes to reloading, for a while, I was seeing lots and lots of powder, and primers were still non-existent in a lot of cases. Now I was getting small rifle primers. Small pistol were getting low. Now there's tons of small pistol primers, tons of small rifle primers. I did see large pistol primers for the first time in a while. Lots of Magnum primers, right? Because that's the last thing people buy. Small rifle primers, military, CCI number 41s, whatever it is. But I have not seen large rifle primers in quite some time. And I keep checking. But the funny thing was, 0 powder now for 2 weeks. No powder at all. There is more brass than usual out there, but not everything like you'd usually see. Lots of bullets, and by that I mean projectiles, tons and tons, whatever you want. More reloading gear in stock, where that was real thin for a long time. But no powder, so that's a bit worrisome. For a while, when I'd see powder, certain types that I use, I'd grab a pound here, pound there, whatever, just to start stockpiling, because I'm low. I mean, I had done a ton of reloading over last winter and planning on stocking up over the summer. And then we had the move and everything and just never ended up adding anything. So, yeah, powder's thin to say the least. And but it's good to see, you know, small primers stock up while you can. If they're there, you might as well be grabbing some when you can, even if it's you know, a sleeve of 100. Why not? Whatever you can afford. Everybody has a budget that they got to stick to, so get what you can. But firearms, on the other hand, are a whole nother story. There are just tons and tons out there. Anything you want. My particular store, as far as pistols, handguns go, anything from SIG you want, anything from Glock, anything from Smith & Wesson, HK. They even had a MP5 in 22 there. I keep, every time I see it, I go, "Ooh, is that a 9?" You know, look, because once in a while they get them, and they sell them pretty cheap considering. Receivers, lots of receivers, lots of Taurus, lots of Kimber, lots of Walther, lots of HK pistols, anything you could imagine they've got, and every color and variant and everything. And prices seem pretty decent. I saw an M18 SIG, which I have an M17. I don't have an M18. $589. That's pretty damn cheap. A lot cheaper than what the M17 goes for by at least a couple, maybe a few $100s. And that's a decent gun. What am I saying decent? That's a great gun. I mean, it's essentially SIG's version of the most popular carry gun there is, right? Why not, I guess, unless you want a black one, because that M18 obviously isn't the Coyote, but yeah, anything you want is out there. Rifle wise, you know, Fleet Farm isn't a place where you come across a ton of black rifles. However, they do carry Colt, and they've had a consistent supply of M4s, Colt M4s. They've had a consistent supply of Daniel Defense. What else? FN M4s. They've had some Springfield Armory M14s, which is kind of interesting. Their distributor must have said, "Hey, I'll get you a deal on a batch of these." Black Rain Ordnance, that was huge here in southern Wisconsin, even through the droughts and through the pandemic and everything. You saw Black Rain Ordnance everywhere, even when everything else was gone. They could be out of everything. Cases cleared, and there's 20 Black Rain Ordnance. They just kept producing and kept selling. What else? A lot of Ruger, some Ruger ARs, Ruger Precision, Ruger Americans, bolt action rifles. I've seen some of they've got the Ruger Precisions. They've got some SIG Cross rifles. Anybody hear anything good about those? The only thing I heard was some, maybe a couple bad things about them. I don't know. Savage, they had a great deal on a Savage Tactical Model 10, I think it was, with the 10-round detachable mag, the knurled bolt handle, short barrel for a 308. Or no, they had that one in 6.5 Creedmoor with the nice Accu stock and Accu trigger. Great gun for $800. A lot of CVA rifles that seem pretty darn nice. Bugaras, a bunch of those. Lots of Henry lever actions, every flavor, 4570, 3030, Golden Boys, Silver Boys, you name it. Some interesting Taurus and even Rossi offerings in lever actions and Oh, an AR-7 survival rifle I saw. Some Remington 700s that, yeah, boy, I don't know. They don't seem to be up to what they once were. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Shotguns. They had a beautiful M2 with the ghost sights and the stock where you can hold 2 extra rounds and everything. Really nice, inexpensive, $600, I think. What else did they have? Berettas. Not the 1300, but that new one they introduced that's similar to it. And they even had Benelli M4. Yeah. Just any shotgun you can want. And of course, tons of hunting varieties and whatnot. Any 22 rifle you wanted. Tons of optics. Red dots, and the big box stores now carrying Holosun, which is kind of neat to see. You know, for a while that was considered Chinesium for a while, but people have gotten to see just how good that stuff is. And I've been talking about those in Primary Arms for years and years and years. Yeah, so as far as AKs in these big box stores, the only thing you ever see, at least lately, is the Viscas. And I take one look and I go, no. Now, you were seeing some Zastavas here and there, but those haven't been around in the big box stores, at least, very much. Now, as far as local gun shops, good selection, different Zastavas, including the underfolder. I did see a Wasser underfolder, new, which was kind of cool. That kind of caught my eye. What else did I see? Pioneer Arms, some higher end ARs. I can't remember the name of this high end company. Oh, I know what it is. Ohio Ordnance. They actually had one of their reproduction BARs. Thing was, I forget what the price tag was, $8,000 or $10,000, something crazy like that. Brand new, pretty interesting, but you know, that's one of those high-end guns not a lot of us can take part in enjoying. But yeah, the gun shops have more interesting stuff, but it's all there, everything you could want. Colt pythons coming out your ears everywhere. Those are everywhere. Anything you want is out there, and prices really they haven't been able to creep up there because I think they're stockpiled. I really do. Let's see, Orion's here. Good to see you. I'd comment if I had something intelligent to say. Old age takes its toll. Let's see, who else is in here? ET's Estava M7. Do you ever shoot the PWS Diablo? Same value as Arsenal? No. Never heard of it, actually. Are those ARs any good? Don't know anything about Black Rain. I don't either. I've never heard anything bad about them. They do a lot of custom colors and Cerakote and patterns and all kinds of stuff. Kind of, I wouldn't say it's some bougie type of gun. It's not at all, but it may attract a lot of first-time buyers or somebody that wants something a little different. To me, I don't need a red and black AR or whatever. I don't know. They don't appeal to me at all. I don't think they're bad. I think they're as good as anything out there, but never seen even much testing. Or I wonder if it's just this part of the country or something, because there were so damn many of them for so long. I don't know. Crazy. I often thought, my God, I'm so sick of seeing these things. Can't they get anything else in? You know, every time you went, that's all you saw. But yeah, so that's the state of things. What are you guys seeing around? And if anybody reloads, I'd be interested to see if you're seeing powder out there, stuff like that. We did get a chance to put some more rounds through our underfolder, and that was awesome. We did get to film some some more video because I replaced the microphone for the camera. Got a better Rode, the new updated version, I guess. So yeah, it sounds good to me. Once you upgrade past your basic in-camera microphone, they all sound pretty good for the most part. And at least when you're talking about those sub $200 microphones, if you're a huge channel, I even know some bigger channels that they film with very basic stuff. We do our stuff with a Canon EOS and a Rode microphone and a basic tripod. And yeah, I guess it shows, but I was thinking about doing the wireless microphones, but to me, I get too much noise through those. But it would be nice to have like a 2 mic setup where you can put one downrange so you're hearing the target noise and that kind of stuff when you're shooting steel. But when we get it done with a shotgun mic, we can point it downrange and get the sound we need, at least where you guys can tell what the hell we're hitting. But yeah, so putting together a lot of B-roll and some tabletop reviews and some other stuff to get out to you guys. We're just waiting on some other equipment we need that went down. So as soon as we have that, we'll be getting some more stuff out to you. I was going to try that Rode mic tonight and see how it sounded. And I don't think you guys would notice a difference. I think if I use the mic that's on the webcam I use, or this is what we use for this. It's the hell is it? Blue. I forget what they call it, what model, but I just call it Big Blue. But it seems to sound just fine, I guess. What do you guys think? And I bet if I switched to that Rode, you probably wouldn't notice a damn bit of difference. I don't know. Unless you're putting sound dampening in a room and all that stuff, I don't think you notice much. It's just so you get cut out some of the background noise and some of the hiss, and maybe where you lose high end or low end because you're peaking things out. But it all seems to work pretty good on ours. I don't know, but my hearing is shot anyway, so what can I say? They remind me of PSA's new Saber line. They're all over Michigan too. The Sabers are, or the Black Rain Ordnance. Because I think I did see, I stopped on the way back from the 2A EDU shoot. I stopped at, it was an outlet, Black Rain. Yeah, it was an outlet store for the one internet company. Oh, God. Sportsman's Guide or Sportsman something. Can't remember what it was, but I stopped there, and boy, that place was no deal, let me tell you. They had limited inventory. It seemed like maybe closeouts or clearance items, but it was all full price. I was like, wow. And they even had Black Rain there. I was like, huh. Maybe it's a Midwest thing. Who knows? Or maybe they've got a really good salesman on the road, huh? Or maybe they're really cheap with big markups. That's usually tends to be the case, right? When somebody can buy something cheap and sell it for a lot of dough, hey, we'll take more. But I don't know anybody that's ever bought one. That's the funny thing. Sportsman's Warehouse, that's what it was. I didn't see any deal there. I mean, I looked through every aisle of that place looking for a deal, and at the time I was looking for camo. I was looking for archery equipment. I was looking for a chest pack. There's a bunch of things I needed, reloading stuff, and boy, the reloading stuff was ridiculous. I mean, I laughed. I literally laughed. Like, who's paying this? You know, I don't think I walked out of there with anything, literally. And I wanted to buy something. No deals to be had there. Haven't been in I did find an interesting store here in Wisconsin. I was, just day off driving around, checking out these little towns. And I went there actually to look at a tractor. And there was this farm store, and I don't say names usually because um, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just don't want to attract too much attention to good stores that maybe it ends up a bad thing, if you know what I mean. But and not from a personal standpoint, like where somebody's going to come in and buy up all the ammo or something. No, not that at all. Just for the most part, people can Google it and find it if they want. But uh, it was a very similar to like a farm and fleet or fleet farm, if you know what that is, but a completely different name I had never heard of. And they have a few stores, not a lot. And they're not just local to Wisconsin, but certainly the Midwest. And I had never heard of the company. I had never seen a store, but I'm like, I walk in, and wow, holy cow, man! I talk about loaded with guns and neat stuff, lots of equipment, and anything you could want, but some different stuff. It's always good to have another store with just a little different take on what they order. So it was kind of neat. Um, they had one thing they had there that I love is tailored targets. So if you guys watch our videos, and any of the steel we shoot is made by a company called Tailored Targets. And one of these days, I'm going to ask them for a sponsorship because I've been using them since the channel started. And I think I'm still on my original base. I'm on my second set of uprights, and my second, we've got several steel plates, but the main torso target I shoot, I'm on my second one. And I think we finally popped the corner off where one of the bolts went through, but we also cracked the head right across. It was about to come off. I kept hitting it with 308s trying to pop it, and it was just about gone. One of these days, maybe I will. But great stuff. Man, it's lasted so long. And that was one of those things. I walked in a local hardware store in central Wisconsin, and I see this. If they're selling tailored targets near you, they've got a big kiosk center in the middle of an aisle, and it's really neatly designed. Steel fabricators, imagine that. But the whole system centers around a base. And if you looked at it from the side, it's a triangular shaped base. And on the top, it's about that wide on the top, two triangles coming down like this, and then the base. But on the top, there's all these holes that take these steel rods that have little gussets at the top with holes for chain. And you can hang a target from the chain. They also make a set of brackets that fit into those holes that you can put 2x4s in to raise it up higher. And then essentially the same brackets on the top of the 2x4s. They make popper targets that fit in there. If you bought two of the bases that are about 130 a piece, you could set up your main target. They have one that'll hold paper targets. They have poppers, like the little gophers, all kinds of stuff. They've got round gongs. They've got IPSC style torso targets. They have one with the hostage. But you can set up on two of those bases 5 or 6 different things, and basically a whole shooting gallery, all steel, and or the one that holds paper targets, for not a ton of money. And even if it's a little more than you would want to spend, just know it's going to last you your lifetime. Mine, the front plate on the triangle, the base that holds it, it's slanted back, so anything coming down gets shot into the dirt, But the front plate is whatever it is, I don't know. I'd say 5/8 inch, 1/4 inch, not 5/8. It's at least 1/4 inch plate, whatever standard target is. So that's the front that you shoot at. Well, one time my son put it backwards, and the back is not as thick. And we got done shooting for the day, and we went down and looked, and he's like, Dad, I think I put the target backwards. And yeah, a bunch of 308s and other stuff had burned right through, big holes, but didn't bother. It's still fine. But I take that thing to the range. I set it up at any range I go to, usually if they'll let me set up steel. And it's certainly great at home. But they had tailor targets there, and I was glad to see that because there's a couple things I want to add to it with the ability to have our range here now and all. And yeah, so it's kind of cool to see. So we'll be hopefully purchasing some more of those, and or maybe trying to get a sponsorship out of them. I don't know. Certainly if they see our videos, they'll see that target set up in just about every one. So we'll see. Anyhow, so yeah, it was good to see this other store. It's always good to see a little difference. You know, sometimes you have, well, I go here for this store and here to get that and here to get that. Yeah, in Wisconsin, we are lucky to have some of the best local gun shops around. Like if I want interesting military type stuff, there is one gun shop I go to, and one only, and that's in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And they've got just an outstanding selection of stuff, anything you could imagine. So I'm really getting the itch to break out some stuff and go have a good time. It's just time right now. I'm trying to get our tractor running. The homestead project's moving along. We got windows in today. Roof is coming tomorrow. Plumber's all set up. So yeah, things are really moving along. Our road needs to be handled, and the if any of you guys, and I'll talk about this real quick because I know it's not firearms, but I bought a tractor and it's got a hydrostatic transmission, so you got a forward and reverse pedal. Driving along and poof, all kinds of terrible noise, like the trans blew up. I think I told you guys last week. Ended up being a linkage with a little ball joint at each end. So I ordered the parts. I got them in and picked them up yesterday and thought, no problem, man. I'll get this put in 15 minutes. We'll be taking care of the drive and the road. And I wanted to start smoothing stuff out to plant some grass, all kinds of stuff. And I spent 2.5 hours under this tractor and couldn't get this little ball joint in. You've got a plate on the linkage, and let's say it's got a hole in it, and this ball joint is attached to a linkage rod, and it's got the little bolt coming out of it. Well, you think, put the bolt through the linkage, put the nut on the end, and you're all good to go, right? Not so much, because next to that linkage plate is the wall of the transmission case, or a center case. It's open from the bottom. There's no fluid in it, but between that little space, I can't get that ball joint up there, get the bolt in the hole, because even bringing it on an angle or flexing that ball joint, can't get it in there. 2.5 hours I tried and can't get it in. I don't know if you need to pull the trans just to get the linkage in. I don't know. But I did notice one thing. The previous owner, I thought it had gotten banged around when it let loose, but it looks like he had ground off the entire outer edge, like half of it, to get it in there. Well, he ground so far, he exposed the back edge of the ball that's in it. Well, that's no good. You don't want to do it that way, but I can't for the life of me figure out how to get it in there. So tractor sits dead. I don't know. Maybe somebody's got a little hint as to how to do that, because I have no clue. And I'm mechanically inclined and have a degree in automotive technology, so I don't know. But yeah, so that was upsetting to say the least. But I'm getting mellow in my old age. I didn't throw any wrenches. I didn't swear up a storm. I didn't jump up and down. None of that. Just frustrating, that's all. And I didn't even try to get the back one on. So who knows, that might be just as bad, but we'll see. Who came in? Martin Co's here. Roger Ray is here. Ross, Orion. Where's Joe? Where's Joe tonight? Joe didn't make it in. So what have you guys picked up lately? Anything interesting? Somebody's had to, for a while, like Hattori Hanzo, man, That guy was buying up a storm, and now I haven't heard much lately. Haven't heard much. And I haven't seen any uh, PSA stuff around. I don't know if they sell retail, and I guess they do. I've seen them in stores before, but I've not seen one of those sabers up close and personal. Probably wouldn't be a bad gun to do a review on because they're cheap. But boy, you guys, I haven't heard anything out of you guys. Are you guys buying anything, doing anything? What are you shooting for fun? Digging in the back of the safe? Or is it still too cold? Nobody's out shooting yet. I don't know. Are you getting ready to? And where do you guys shoot? Anybody got a home range they're getting ready? I know Pillbox Bunker's got a nice range. He never has to worry about going anywhere. He's got it all set up, man. I'm debating where to set mine up because where I thought I was going to put it ends up being next to an area where a lot of my deer on my property bed. So I don't know. It's bugging me. We'll see. I mean, I can shoot a lot of places, and it's certainly safe. I mean, even with hills behind us, but you're shooting towards somebody else's property line in some cases, even though there's a natural berm there. But I don't know. We'll see. We can mix it up. So Kay says ammo is crazy right now, so only going to the range with 5-round mags and cut down on the urge to be wasteful. Yeah. No, we get it. But I was commenting at the beginning of the video how I'm seeing huge amounts of ammo at the local box stores, and prices are coming down. I'm seeing 9 at $12.50 a box for federal. So that doesn't seem all that out of line. Now, rifle ammo, another story. I was commenting how 7.62 by 39, where these retail box stores never had a ton of it, but they'd always have Red Army or something like that. God, $3, $5, $4, $6 a box, and now cheapest thing I could find was Winchester at about $13 a box, and that was the only thing I found other than hunting ammo that was really expensive, over $20 a box. So if you guys listen to me and we're buying bulk for the last 5-6 years, well, good for you. If not, yeah, you're kind of screwed. I wish I had bought a couple more cans of Barnwell a few weeks ago. What was that going for? And what was it? The green and red box? Hey, Glocks might become collector's items in Illinois. You might want to stock up on some of those. Get yourself a handful of 18s, Advertise them. Well, you can't sell them there unless you live there. But yeah, might be cheap. I picked up a Wasser 10 underfolder. I've been on an underfolder binge lately. I like underfolders so much. They're just great. Great. And I keep meaning to call Zastava and see if they'll send me out one of the mounts, and I haven't done that. I got to make a note to myself here to do that so we can do a little testing. But I want to get you guys a good video. I may sacrifice this computer and just do the video on the computer and start clogging it up. Why not? And instead of waiting on getting another hard drive. But got to get something going. Kind of live streamed out. What do you guys think? You guys still like them? I mean, that's all we've been doing really for close to a year. I mean, there are a few videos here and there, but got to get back to them. Are you going to make a little pond for the deer? I was talking to a buddy of mine today about it, and even if you've got a bobcat or a tractor with a bucket, digging a pond is some serious business, and you got to know if it'll hold the water first or if you need to line it, and you'd like to have a spring feeding it, right? And you don't want to end up with a mosquito maker or an algae cesspool. And that's hard to do in farmland because all that fertilizer that goes right in there kind of does that. So I don't know. I guess it's something I got to research a little. I'd love to have one. I think I got a couple spots where I can do it. yeah, it'd be great. Um, but you need somebody that's got a backhoe and a week or two worth of time to do it for you and not cost you a fortune. You need to make friends with people with big equipment, right? But it certainly would be cool. It'd be nice to have a pond set up and panfish and maybe some bass going. So when grandkids come along, you take them down to the pond with the tractor and have a good time, right? Okay, I'm planning to sell my M70 AB2 to buy a new ZPAP underfolder in Serbian red. I don't know, man. I think if I had to make a choice between my AB2 and my ZPAP underfolder, I think I would keep the AB2. I really do. It's smoother. It was made from military kit. It's got the grenade launcher sights and the night sights. Um, Essentially, other than the barrel and the receiver, is a Zastava. I mean, it's held up magnificently, and I think it's a lot cooler with that setup. So, I don't know. Mark M, appreciate your channel. You're going to be huge. Keep going to be huge. Dude, you have any idea how long this channel's been going? It seems like yesterday, but it's been like 5-6 years. But hey, we've had some screwed up things happen during that little journey there, where had I kept at it, it would have been bigger. But we've cut way back on the videos and been doing the live stream thing. But certainly got to get back into the videos. But my chrome lining, yeah. That's why a lot of times you'll see guys, gun broker, whatnot, or used to be you'd find guys selling like batches of 10 M70 barrels, and they were all sewer pipes. Maybe one good one in the bunch because they were out of old military kits that after the war they just let these things lay, and they were all junk. But you take care of a barrel and screw the chrome lining. I show you mine. It's bright as could be, like chrome, like shinier than chrome, actually. um, that means K knows you don't need chrome lining. It's a bunch of crap. Just know what you're shooting and act appropriately. If you're shooting corrosive ammo, well, then you're going to clean it. You're gonna get that out of there so it's not rusting to hell. Frankly, I've been lucky because early on when I didn't know anything, well, I guess I knew from the beginning on that, but I'd shoot some corrosive stuff here and there. I had a bunch of copper wash Chinese ammo. I should have saved it, but a buddy of mine, Jay, gave me a bunch of it one time and shot a bunch of that. And I had some old Norinco yellow box I shot the hell out of. Never did anything. Just left it. Never bothered a damn thing. Black powder. I do occasionally shoot some real black powder, but usually like Pyrodex stuff like that. But I shoot a lot of flintlocks, so you're using like 4F real black powder in the pan, or you can't get a reliable spark. And I'm pretty vigilant about keeping those clean and washing them right away. Well, I had one thing where I didn't get to them right away. I went back and I was like, oh my God, look at this. But we're kind of blessed that for most of the year, or at least maybe inside the house, because we use a lot of air conditioning and stuff, that I don't have that heavy humidity. Like if that gun had sat in my truck or something and I was down south, oh my God, I could only imagine. But don't worry about it too much. Really don't. And when you shoot corrosive ammo out of an AK, it's not so much the powder. The powder is just fine. It's the primers. So it's not a ton to begin with. And if, you run a patch down the bore, wipe the outside down with a silicone cloth or something, you're usually fine. But I've got buddies that got guns, and whatever, maybe their house is damp, or they don't use as much air conditioning in the summer, and man, they can get a brand new gun and put it in the gun cabinet, and 3 days later go grab it, and the thing's covered in rust. Or there's some people that just have different oils in their hands, and they'll touch a gun, and you don't wipe it down afterwards, and you pick it up 3 days later, you're like, oh my God, it's destroyed. My son had hands like that. Whatever it was in his hands, he would touch something. Oh my God. If he was playing with one of my guns, I'd have to be like, give me that, and wipe it all down. Oh my God. Or I'd come back and there's fingerprints etched right in, So from day one, he was really careful about it. If you get hard up, will you sell some guns? Yeah, I mean, I'd have to be pretty hard up, I guess, to do it. I don't have a lot of stuff that I don't buy stuff on a whim. It's usually heavily researched. It usually fits a spot in the collection. And my collection isn't, I'm not, all right, I'm a Mauser guy, and I got to have every Mauser from every country and every version and barrel length and this and that. I'm not like you got guys that collect nothing but lever actions, and they've got old stuff, new stuff, every variant, barrel length, caliber, or whatever you're into. Maybe you're into, I guess my collection really started, it revolved around Russian guns. And because they were cheap at the time, I started with Mosin Nagants, and I got to know everything there was to know about that. And then what was the next progression? SKSs and then AKs. And it stayed that for a long time. And I remember the day I bought my first AR. I thought, well, this election's coming, and if I want one, I better get one, that kind of thing. And really had that one AR forever and ever. It was a Stag Arms, and it wasn't until down the road they started interesting me as I collected AKs and filled in a lot of niches that I thought, well, I really should do this and do that. I wanted a DMR style gun, and I wanted a pistol, and I wanted whatever it may be, and I built some ARs and that kind of thing. And there's then those iconic type of guns that you think, well, any collection worth its salt should have an MP5, right? Or an Uzi, or God, if you're World War II, which I am, that's my favorite historical time period. Gotta have a Grand, right? I'd still like an Arisaka. I think I know just enough to be dangerous. I'd like one with the aircraft sights and a mom on it, of course, and this and that. And they're still, relatively speaking, cheap. I'd like a real Kar 98. I've got a Russian Capture, but like a Kar 98, I'd really like Enfield. So there's things out there that I'd still like to get, but as far as having random guns, just maybe newer stuff where I bought it on a whim or something, not too much of that. And throughout the years, if we hit a rough patch or something, my wife needed a little money, yeah, I'd sell off something that was usually maybe along the lines of a handgun or something that I really didn't care much for. A 40 cal. I got rid of a Springfield, what the hell was it? XDM. Remember when they came with the case and the holster and all the stuff? And I've got a few things like that that are just redundant 9mm handguns that I need another hole in my head. I like them. I like my Canic. I like it. I just don't have a lot of that stuff. A couple things that come to mind that if I had to, I'd get rid of, like maybe a Ruger and their Charger pistol, takedown 9mm. Probably get rid of something like that, just because I like my Scorpion so much. And if you got a HK, what do you need the rest for, right? But no, I'd never get rid of my Scorpions. I like them, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody would sell stuff. If you need money, you need money, right? That's the bottom line. It's certainly probably the last thing I'd try to do. I'd try to get rid of something else first, but it's certainly the most liquid, right? You can use it if you need money quick. It's an easy way to get it, you know. Would I like to? No. But would I? Absolutely. If the situation was that and you had to, you have to. And it sucks. I know a lot of guys that have had to liquidate whole collections, and they're sorry, you know, later, but what can you do? The real problem arises in if it's a last minute thing. You usually don't have time to wait for what the gun should really bring, right? You're in a pinch, so you sell it for less than it's worth. And then when you go to rebuy it, when you can afford to rebuy it maybe and add it back to your collection, it's usually twice as much, right? So I don't think I have a single firearm that is not worth more than I paid for it, you know? And I'm not talking, well, I guess there's a couple everyday things that'll never be anything. But with the recent price increases of everything, even they've gone up. So it's really, you know, if you're, you know, maybe you're not losing, maybe you're not making money, but you're certainly not losing money. So I don't know. I don't know what happened, guys. Hopefully you can see me here. Something just happened with my computer here. Give me a second to figure it out. There we go. Hopefully the stream didn't end, but something cut in all of a sudden. I don't know what the hell that was. Hopefully everything's good. Let's see what you guys are saying here. I have a WBP Jack on the way from Atlantic. And yeah, anything WBP, great stuff. How do you go wrong? The Jack's a milled gun. I'm just not much on milled guns, I guess. If I don't know. If I'm going to buy a Polish gun, there's only one gun I'm going to buy. And that's the military gun. And I keep threatening to get one, but I keep missing when they got a batch. So that's about it. My man with the plum. Yeah. No big deal. I don't see what everybody sees in plum. I really don't. I don't know. I guess if you're into that. And I think it's guys that are more into AK-74s, really, right? I don't know. I got to judge because I have the 45 ACP 45 Colt and a 410 2.5 already, so I don't have to buy ammo. I love the 45 Colt round. Or just 45. Guys will say 45 long Colt instead of just 45 Colt. But man, I love that round. I hunted deer with that round one year. I've got a Henry lever action in it, and I've got a Vaquero, and just what a great round. You know, I started loading up 45 Colt rounds for that rifle using Hornady XTP rounds or whatever they are, the projectile, the hollow points. And the faster I made them, the more accurate that gun got. And I was getting up to the point where I started going, this is getting a little crazy, on how much powder we were slamming in there. But those are heavy guns, heavy barrels. They can take it now. Can't shoot those out of the Vaquero. And I had a plastic box, where I kept all the rounds. I reloaded, and I had them labeled by which row they were in. I had little paper slips in there telling me which ones were rifle only, that kind of thing. And they blew out at the range one day, and I went, now what rounds were what? Well, I ended up putting them all down the rifle, because if some of those, I'm sure if I put them in that Vaquero, that could have been a little spicy. But yeah, I just love that round, man. It's so heavy and hard hitting. And out of a rifle, when you start getting those velocities, oof, man, it's like the whack. Those things hit hard. And the judge, everyone says, the judge is a failure, and who wants one of those? And, they're so big and clunky, and although they came out with a lightweight version. But when they first came out, before the governor was out and all those things, everybody had to have one. Everybody wanted one. And it was one of those things I just put off. And guys say, well, it's a great home defense gun. And other guys will say, no, it's not, capacity, this and that. But at the end of the day, a 410 round, if you're pumping buckshot out of it, or 45 long Colt, you don't have to worry about like a 5.56 going, a block and a half down, hitting a neighbor or something. Not a ton of firepower, but then again, it's kind of like having a shotgun in a way, right? You load one every other or something like that. I don't know. I'll tell you the truth, I don't know if I've ever shot one. Maybe once at the range of buddies. I do like, Bond Arm makes Derringer, where you can load a 45 and a 410. Is that what you were talking about? Because I have a 45 ACP, 45 and 410 2.5. Oh, that's the judge. But that Bond Arms, man, those are heavy little guns. Those are chunks of steel, that Bond Arms. And that's a cool little backup for a backup, I wouldn't mind one of those just for fun, for grins, Sachinoko says, I'm not much into plum. I prefer the triangle stock and the wood handguard on a 74, but my buddy got a good deal on a Sega once plum. He's late, and I never got any. I think my favorite stock is a triangle stock. I love it. I just think they're cool. They're lightweight. They're comfortable. I think they're the perfect stock, especially if you got a side folding triangle. Now, that's the shit. All in all, it's awesome. I got a 107 FR with the folding triangle, and it's one of my favorite. I got it set up super light, iron sights, maybe throw a red dot on it once in a while. And God, if you had to get one gun and go lightweight, with like a chest rig and a bunch of mags and just shit and get, that's the gun to go to. I love it. Love it. I'm going to have to do another video on that gun just because it's one of my favorites. The Desert Fox Outfitters have got some weird stuff for AKs, Bakelite handguards, but they're painted black. Desert Fox, they're the AK guys with a bunch of different parts. Mag pouches, all that kind of stuff, right? If I remember right. They'd be all over AK files for a while. Yeah, so a lot of Bulgarian Bakelite was painted black at some point. I don't know if it was, in the armory at some point they painted them all black, but you would always come across a lot of Bulgarian Bakelite painted black at gun shows, stuff like that. and you can carefully strip it down, and it's beautiful usually. Kind of like in a lot of cases protected it. So never worry about buying black painted black Bakelite. It's not really weird. It's just how a lot of it was. They make a Bond Arms seat belt holster, like clips to your seatbelt thing, or made out of seatbelt. It's funny. You'll see guns like those Bond Arms. Some shops will have 10 different ones. Others, you don't see them for a long time at any shops. But in the area of southern Wisconsin where I had a business, we had a pawn shop / gun shop there, and he was in the Bond Arms. He had a ton of them there, and I always looked at them and thought, that'd be kind of cool. But a lot of what he had wasn't Bond. It was Charter Arms maybe, and that's a cheap knockoff. I'm sure they're fine, but if you're going to buy one, you might as well buy a Bond, right? Like I said, they feel like a small brick in your hand. And I don't mean that they're uncomfortable. I mean that they're just well built, really well built. And I like their grips. I've got one of those little North American Arms, the little 22 revolvers. You guys have all seen them. They came out with the little ones, and then they even make ones with like 6 or 8 inch barrels now. Different stuff. They have one that will clip in a belt buckle, and if you saw somebody wearing it, you'd think, oh, that's cool, just a belt buckle, but it's an operating firearm. And they take 22 long Colts. I think they make some in 22 mag. It's really a cool little gun, and the machining and the craftsmanship in them are impeccable. But God, they are inaccurate as shit. From 10 feet away, it's hard to hit a target. You got to really aim low with it. It's hard to hold it to get that front sight way down in the groove to even be on target, But they're a novelty and sort of a backup for a backup for the backup for the backup. That's like a belly gun, you know what I mean? And then again, it's a 22. But they are interesting from the standpoint of, I look at a lot of guns, sometimes just not even for, what they are, for like, a lot of guys, you want a personal defense gun, so you want capacity, or you want stopping power, or you want whatever the case may be. But sometimes I look at different firearms from a design / quality of craftsmanship / almost the art of it, sort of. And it's really a neat little piece. Just not that it's crazy exceptional. It's just maybe when you're working on something that's small and how perfect they are, it's kind of neat. So rhinos are cool, aren't they? They are. I love the look of them. And I thought, but that's one of those things, you buy one, you take it to the range, you pow, 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 and then you go, all right, now what? The rhino pistols look big and also cool. I can't blame you on it. They are cool. Every time I look at one, I go, damn, look at that with the rib and everything. They are cool looking. But it's like, I know I would walk in the shop, I'd lay down however much they are, and 3 days later, in would come a load of Polish rifles that I wanted one forever, and now I can't buy it because I spent the money on that, Never fails. Never fails. But yeah, they are cool. They are cool. That's one of those things, like maybe if you're doing a channel like this where you buy one, you do your video, you review it, and you sell it. I've always had a hard time doing that. When I buy something, I keep it. That's the problem. But you can't keep them all, I guess, especially when they really have no collector significance or anything like that. And it's funny, though, those are the guns that seem to be guns that people want to review. It's the everyday man's gun, right? Maybe he sees that as, a great nightstand pistol or something like that. Who knows? A great fishing tackle box gun or glove box gun or whatever the case may be. And he says, wow, that's cool. I wonder if there's any reviews out there. And you end up with, 500,000 views versus doing a review on a IWI, whatever, and you get next to nothing, that kind of thing. I don't know. It's like doing a review on PSA or, oh God, 2AEDU with his, what's the pistol he does, the cheap pistols that are fantastic pistols, and look at the views he gets on those. The stuff everybody can afford because that's what they're looking for reviews on. And I never did this for clicks or views or advertisers or things like that. I did it on, the Taurus T whatever, P whatever. But can't believe you can still buy Russian ammo. I thought no, there was, you got to understand that these big distributors had, I don't know, hundreds, maybe millions of rounds of it. And there was still more on the way that had come through in shipments that had already been placed. There's still a ton out there. They're just sitting on it. It's out there, but they're just sitting on it. Hell, we saw Golden Tiger not too long ago. I wish I had kept buying it. I thought, finally, I have enough, and I stopped buying. I wish I would have bought more, but I do have enough. I'll never run out, put it that way. And that's a good thing. But even though you got, it's funny, whether you have 500 rounds or you have 5,000 rounds or 15,000 rounds, when it's gone, it's gone. And so let's say you got 15,000 rounds put away. Every time you crack a case, every time you pull a box out, every time you load a mag, you go, oof, I can't replace it, And that's what sucks about it. But then again, what are you going to do with it all? Might as well shoot some. I'm not going to worry about it. That's why I started reloading 7.62 by 39. But the problem is, when you buy the brass for it, it's expensive, 1. 2, you get to shoot it once because the case is dent. Look at your cases out of any AK, steel case, and it dings them. Imagine what it does to brass. I think I was talking to my wife about it tonight, and she hates my gun collection. She hates anything I've bought. She wishes it was all sold and gone. She sees it as a waste of money and all of that. And I get it. But we're talking about tonight because, obviously you got to keep the channel going, show new, interesting stuff, things like that. And there's still stuff I want, but right now there's other priorities. So, we're building a house and all that crap. So now that I'm in Wisconsin full time, I really want a suppressor. And why not? If I can get it, why not? So I guess you start with a 9. What would you guys start with, a 9? Or would you get like a 5.56 or something for the AK? And if you were doing one for the AK, what's the be-all, end-all suppressor to have? What would you buy? There's a couple guys in here with a lot of AK knowledge. What do you think? What would you buy for a 9 can that would go well on a Scorpion or on a MP5? I think I'll do tri-lug because of the MP5, and I can always put tri-lug adapters on the Scorpions. And frankly, it'd be nice to have for 9 other regular pistols too. I don't know. Be great for shooting here on the property too, for doing videos, because I wouldn't have to worry about too much noise for spooking deer and all that kind of stuff. So that'd be kind of cool. Any of you guys in suppressor states, or anybody that's done enough research that knows what the hot thing is? Is the Sandman the way to go in the AK? Had never thought about it much. I know what I would buy on a 9x39. That'd be that Liberty suppressor that we did when we were shooting Mark Krebs 9x39. God, that was so much fun. Dead air suppressors make a great AK suppressor. I met those guys. They seemed the best in the business. So their dead air is the Sandman, isn't it? Isn't that what it's called? I could swear it was. And isn't it supposed to mimic Russia's version of the old school suppressor they had? And if I remember correctly, it might even be a flow-through design. I don't know. I know enough to be stupid about them. So, but I think it'd be great on the ZPAP underfolder, because the thing is probably the least gassed variant I own. I don't know what the deal is with that thing, but it just seems, I won't say undergassed, but for an AK, gassed right, if that sounds right. I don't know. Yeah, maybe the Wolverine. You're right. You're right. I've heard that. I read today that suppressor applications are getting proven. Yeah, I heard it is too. It's a good time. Maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know. Hey, why not, right? I don't have any suggestions. GSL are made in Michigan. Banish. Banish is essential. Yeah. I had a friend, college roommate, that started a suppressor company in Georgia, who, when he got far enough in, basically, it was when you're up against the big boys, it's advertising dollars. And unless you got that money to run up against them, you're just going to be what you are. And he ended up selling the company to Aero Precision, and he still works and is paid by them, even though he doesn't work for the company. So pretty cool gig he's got going there. I don't know how he got that whole thing going, but yeah, we were buddies in high school and roommates in college, fraternity brothers, all that good shit. And started a suppressor company. We had lost touch for a few years, and then when we reconnected, he's like, yeah, by the way, I see you're in the firearms. He's like, yeah, I own a suppressor company. He started showing videos because he was an SOT, shoot all kinds of full automatic stuff at like barbecues and shit. I'm like, well, what the hell is he up to, And sure enough, so that was the story. Maybe I should call him. Anyhow, interesting stuff. So yeah, maybe we'll delve into that whole thing and get us at least on the waiting list, right? I don't know what it was called, but he was out of Georgia and sold it to Aero Precision, who I don't think has done anything with it. They may have shelved it, or maybe they have a stake in the company and nobody even really puts two and two together with it. I don't know if it's Lahar. I'll find out and I'll let you know next week. But he's a pretty inventive guy. He's not technically trained, but he's done a lot engineering-wise without any background in it. Just very mechanical, went to school like I did for automotive technology, ASE certified, stuff like that. And went to work for Midway, the pinball machine company, and him and another friend developed some part of Mortal Kombat, and they both made several $1 million and retired at like 28. So one of the main guys from Mortal Kombat, his last name is it's Mike. God, only drink beer at his house 10,000 times. Anyhow, he's listed as one of the original makers of Mortal Kombat, and Rob got in on it somehow and made a lot of money and retired. Yeah. And decided, I'm going to start a suppressor company, and then I'm going to race jet skis, and then I'm going to race offshore boats and all the thing cool guys do, And then I'm going to go ride motorcycles in South America and go off a cliff and break every bone in my body and almost die 3 times. Yeah, he's done all that. Interesting guy. I don't know, unless it's in a trust, I guess, right? I hear. Can you still do trust? I heard you couldn't, but I guess the way to do it is to put the suppressor or any NFA items you have in a trust so your family members can dispose of them and get the money for them. Otherwise, yeah, maybe they do come pick them up from you. We want the good stuff, hand it over now. Think about how much stuff goes that way. Unless, of course, you have a tragic boating accident in between. But, you know, I don't know. Anyhow. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, I'm going to cut it short tonight. Normally we're on 2 hours, but I think an hour and a half tonight is. Check out that stuff on that Glock lawsuit. It's interesting. And go to that. It's Tom Griot or Griot or Griose. He's an ex-Wisconsin prosecutor, and he's got a great history on it with that Smith & Wesson stuff. Sure seems like it's going that way again, and that's scary. I never heard that Smith & Wesson, that they cut that deal. And I get it. It's not going against them, but God, something about that rubs me wrong. And of all the knowledge I have and everything I've read and seen, I had never heard that. And it shocked me. I heard it today. Thank God it never went through, but really, really incredible. That's what you can do, is have a guest speaker on your show. I've talked to Mark Krebs here and there about it. I do want to do a Krebs thing. So maybe one Tuesday, I will head down to the shop and we'll do a live stream from his shop. If I'm sure he's willing to do it, he'll do it. Such a good guy. You guys would dig that, wouldn't you? God, the questions you guys could have, and he'll answer them. You're just in awe when he starts talking about stuff. And he's such a regular guy and a good guy. You'll love him. He's not much of a he wouldn't do well as a TV personality. You got to coax him a little bit, but once he starts talking something that he likes to talk about, which is AKs. I mean, think about asking Mark Krebs, how'd you come up with the Krebs safety? Or what's the best barrel length? Oh, that would interest you guys. By the way, most accurate AK? Shortest barrel. Ask Mark. Yep. Short barrel, way more accurate on an AK than a longer barrel. What makes that more interesting is the fact that Smith & Wesson has been sold so many times over the years. Yeah, surprised those lawsuit agreements transferred. It never took effect. That never took effect, thank God. And that was due to the whatever in arms manufacturer safety law, whatever, where they couldn't sue them. Congress actually brought that into being, so it never took effect. So that was a good thing. But just the fact that they negotiated it, and I get it. If you're up against the wall and it's your company's going to take a dive, or you're going to agree to the terms of this, what do? Do you just close up shop on one of the original firearm manufacturers of the Old West? I mean, God. Look at Colt. Colt at that time quit making handguns because of it. It's scary. Yep, he is. He is every day. And good dude. Good dude. He's got some interesting things on the whole Illinois thing. He was really sad about it because he wanted to just keep on doing what he's doing, and that's sitting around inventing things and working on guns all day. Mark doesn't want to own a gun company. He doesn't want to have to build guns to make money to earn a living. He just wants to build things and invent things that make him happy. You know what I mean? So when like the state of Illinois makes things difficult for him, it makes it no fun for him. And in the end, it makes him sad. That's the best way to put it. He's just very matter of fact about it. And it sucks. It sucks because you can see how upset he is internally about it. And he's just he's a happy, jovial guy. And it sucks. All he wants to do is be left alone, to his leave him at his bench with his, magnifiers on and grinding away and making and testing and doing. That's all he wants to do. He wants to keep his mind worrying like that. And they make it hard for him. And he said, when it's hard, it's no fun. That was the last, when I went out there, and I met him at the shop with another YouTube friend of mine who first introduced me to him. And we sat around the shop. He showed me his new, at one time he had something he was going to put in for a U.S. contract, military contract. And we didn't spend much time around the shop that day. It's when I did he had that Zastava 50 cal there, the Black Arrow or whatever. And I did the video on that. I did that. We got out of there and we went and drank beer and ate pizza. So, but you could just see it was wearing on him. What was the Sava US? Like everybody else, you guys have no idea how many large gun manufacturers and distributors are in Illinois or Cook County. And you got DSA, you've got Zastava, you've got Krebs, you've got, you had Springfield Armory. I could name a ton of other ones. They're all over. Let's face it, it's a distribution hub. It's got a good workforce. Yeah, taxes suck and all that, but there's a lot of gun people there, man. And a lot of gun companies there. There were tons. If you go back in history, tons and big distributors. God, who's the one that did all the importing of Mosin Nagants and everything else? They're out in Carpentersville. Importer's name, one of you guys will say it. Yeah, Rock River's there. Think about it. There's more gun here. Connecticut used to be the hub of the universe, right? Remington, Colt, Winchester, all of them out there, right? And Illinois, think about it. Everybody's there. Everybody. It's crazy. It's crazy. And for them to be so anti-gun, but look at Connecticut too. They're killing it all off. Everybody's moved out of there. Now you got a ton out of Florida, right? But it would take, Les Bear was there. They moved. Think about it. Les Bear, all these names. And we could keep going. We could keep going. And they treat you, they'll take your tax dollars, but, and you can manufacture there, but you can't sell your product there. It's a bunch of shit. Really, and the majority of them in Cook County too. Yeah, I don't get it, guys. I don't get it. But who knows? Interesting, though. You guys should think of a few more. There's a ton over the years that have come and gone. But not just manufacturers, importers, distributors, you name it. And there's some huge shops, too. Monster shops. Places like Gat Guns. Incredible. But, hey, like anything else, they'll take your tax dollars and use it against you, right? But that's, what else? DSA makes FALs. Yeah. No, they're not in Lake Zurich. DSL is in Elk Grove, I think. In Lake Zurich their retail line is White Label, but they make AR parts and stuff. A friend of mine works there, actually. Another huge, they do contracts for all kinds of AR companies. They make barrels, receivers. That's the other thing, Anchor Hocking, that makes probably at least 50% of the AR receivers worldwide is in Freeport, Illinois. Keep on going. If we talk long enough, I could name another 10. Think about that. Illinois. Yikes. Wisconsin, another good state. Vortex. Midwest Industries. They're right by my favorite gun shop in Wisconsin, actually. Ton in Wisconsin, too. But nowhere near what Chicago has. I don't think you'd be hard pressed to find another state with as many manufacturers. It's crazy. crazy, crazy forever. Anyhow, what else? Am I missing anything? Yeah, you like the Wednesday night show again? I do too. I'll be going back to Wednesdays off pretty soon here, but it just works out better anyways, because I had Tuesdays off for a while, and then your day off, I got to stop, do the show, whatever. It's not bad in the winter, but when I want to get out and do stuff, and 8 o'clock's rolling around, it's still light out, I could be out shooting or doing whatever. Yeah. Anywho, that's all she wrote, boys and girls. You guys got anything else? Hey, I didn't say nothing, but remember about super chats down there. Anything you donate, you click on the $sign. It goes toward the channel, helps us buy equipment, like bought the microphone for the channel. I know there's like some guy in here last week was trolling us saying, "Oh, millionaire talking about guns." Yeah, far from it, guys. Far from it. I worked hard for what I got, that's all. And like anybody else, money comes, money goes. Sometimes it's better than others. That's it. Still costs money to put this thing on, and we lose money on it. So anyhow, thank you all for showing up. We appreciate you. And it's so much fun to connect with you. That was a great little exercise. They're going through all these Illinois companies. Illinois is one of the states can't drive through. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You can build all the guns you want there. They'll tax the shit out of you on it, but God forbid you throw one in your car and drive through it, right? Anywho, yeah, maybe next week I'll put together a whole list of manufacturers, both present and previous, and I think you guys will be shocked, but we named off a good bunch of them there, that's for sure. But thanks again, guys. I got some stuff, I didn't even think of this. Maybe I'll throw some shorts out there. I've never done a short, so we'll throw some of those out there. And at least you'll get something. Got it all. I just don't want to destroy it. The minute you start making videos on a computer and editing and all these clips, it clogs up your computer. So I could eat up a terabyte in no time. And yeah, you can go in and get rid of the video clips and all, but it's never the same. It bogs your computer down and it's done. You got to do it on a hard drive connected to it. Otherwise, screw it. You just destroyed your computer for no reason. So these things aren't cheap. These Apple things are not cheap. My wife bought it for me as a gift to do all this because editing on it is so much easier and all. And it works great, and I love it. But I don't feel like replacing it anytime soon. And yeah, hey, you guys talk about guns that you'd consider selling. So I was running my, real quick, one more thing. I was running my SIG 365 XL forever. And I love that pistol. Still do. Love it, love it, love it. But all my stuff got packed away with the move. And I was considering keeping it out, but it went in this one case with this other stuff that I keep together. And besides, I had just won at an NRA dinner a Hellcat. And I thought, I have a hard time, not that concealed carry bangs up a gun, but if you're wearing it day in and day out, it gets wear, it gets holster wear, it gets banged up. The other day, when I put a gun on in the morning, it's on until I go to bed at night. And even then, it's right by me. So I'm laying on the ground in gravel with my concealed carry gun in the 4 or 5 o'clock position. And I'm rolling around on the ground. And for a second, it dawned on me like, oh, shit, you're rolling around with this gun back there. And I thought, it's a Hellcat. I won it. And it's even the NRA had the audacity to inscribe NRA, whatever it was, their 100th, 200th, 300th anniversary, whatever. So that I hate that engraving on there, but it's a cool little gun. It's decent. I shoot well with it. I really like the U sights in the back and everything. But guess what? If it gets scratched, screwed up, fucked up, I don't care. And that's how you got to be with a gun that you're going to carry every day. You don't want to have to worry about it. It's just there to do its job. You take it out once a month. You clean out all the fuzz and the crap. By the way, guys, if you're carrying a gun every day, take it out once in a while. Unload it. Take the mag apart. You won't believe what's in there. You won't believe what's in the action and in the barrel. The fuzz, the everything, from your clothes. I mean, it's unreal. You could knit a sweater out of the stuff that comes out of that thing after 6 months. And hopefully you at least blow it out, clean it out more often than that. But, when it's just a tool and you don't think about it, you just throw it on every morning. Sometimes shit happens, right? But, yeah, holy moly. But yeah, I didn't care. So if I couldn't tell. I was under this jacket. I'm like, is my shirt down or my jacket down over it? And I'm like, who gives a shit? And 90% of the time, nothing's happening to it anyways. But you don't want to take a certain gun and just destroy it like that. So why not take a gun I can replace any day, anytime, or like this one that cost me whatever the raffle ticket cost. Who cares? And it works. It works all the time. I've never had a failure with it, and it runs extremely well. And it's okay. It's not a 365, but it's a damn good little gun. And probably the best Springfield I've ever had, that's for sure. Better than the XDM. But yeah. Get in there and make sure you check out your everyday carries and make sure they're clean, because eventually too much fuzz equals no worky. So get in there and check it out. But yeah, sometimes you got those guns you just don't give a shit about, and it goes back to, would you sell this? Yeah, I'd sell it, but why? That's a workhorse. That's I don't give a shit. Let the finish come off, let it be silver, whatever, but it's always there. It always works, because to carry a gun every day, yeah, you gotta like it, yeah, you gotta shoot well, yeah, it's gotta work, but at the end of the day, it can't be a collectible or something you really care about. It's got to be something that you can drop, that can get scratched, can get worn, can get whatever, rusty even. Not to say you want to carry a rusty gun around, but you know what I mean. And you'll carry it every day and not worry about it, because the minute you start worrying about it, you're like, well, maybe I'm not going to wear that today, or wear it with those clothes, or wear it in this weather or whatever. You're just going to throw it in and not worry about it, because if you're not carrying it every day, then what's the point? Because the one time you need it, you're not going to have it. And God knows, in today's day and age, I spent St. Patrick's Day, said I'd never do this, but in downtown Chicago. And I had to walk a couple miles late by myself, and it was not fun. And I don't get scared much, and I work down there, and it's spooky. It's spooky. You're constantly watching your back, and you wish you had eyes in the back of your head wherever I went. And it's one thing with a group, it's another thing walking down an empty street by yourself. And the funny thing was, back in the day, I was on Michigan Avenue near Balbo for a while. It used to be cops crawling Michigan Avenue everywhere, cars, walking the beat, undercover, on horses, everywhere. I didn't see a cop the entire time I was down there. Nowhere, not one. I thought, what is going on? I mean, we used to be crawling the place. I would crawl out of sewer caps, Hello. They were everywhere. Now, nothing. Just goes to show you, man. You want to do it, go down to Chicago and do it. There's nothing there to stop you, let me tell you. I promise you that. Crazy. Anyhow, guys, thank you for everything. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you come back if you're new here. We appreciate you. I'm sorry, a little bit of a slow night. Like I said, I want to get some movies out. I'm getting a little cabin fever. I want to get out, and live streams are getting a little old, unless we got something really good to talk about. But I want to get out shooting, man, and show you some cool stuff. So that's what we're going to try to do. So thanks again. Make sure you like before you leave. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a super chat if you can. We'd appreciate it. Have a great night. See you next week, hopefully sooner with a video. Love you all. God bless the USA. God bless you. And as always, Rockford Ordnance out.